Have you been diagnosed with cancer, or do you have a loved one with cancer? Hello, I'm Catherine with Inspired Vitality. Nobody wakes up one day and suddenly knows that they have cancer, like a light switch that's been flipped. Instead, it's more like a dimmer switch with appointments leading up to the moment when you stand in that brightness that you'll never forget. In this video, I'm going to share what events took place leading up to my moment of diagnosis, as well as some key takeaways. In early 2015, I was 46 years old and I was perimenopausal. I had been having some emotional difficulty. In fact, I remember some days that I just wanted to lay on the floor and cry. There was no logical explanation. So I had been to the doctor and she had put me on progesterone. Now, let me say I appreciate doctors. I have great affection for doctors. I respect their education. I respect what they do. However, what I know now that I didn't know then is that what you put in your body matters. And foods can help with that hormonal balance. And I wish I would have tried to incorporate a whole food plant-based diet. To learn more about the association between foods and hormones, you can check out a book by Dr. Neal Barnard called Your Body in Balance. Now back to my story. It was Monday, February 23rd, 2015, and I had an annual checkup with my doctor when she found a lump. My mammograms and my doctor visits were off sync a little bit, and my last mammogram was actually 8.5 months prior. The doctor said the lumpiness could have been due to the progesterone. So there was a logical explanation, and I really wasn't that worried when I went into the diagnostic mammogram and ultrasound just 4 days later. So on Friday, February 27th, I had that mammogram and ultrasound. When the tech finished with the ultrasound, she went to get a radiologist, and at that point, I knew it was serious. He said there was a lump in my breast and a concern in my lymph nodes under my arm. The lump in the breast, he said, was not that evident on the mammogram. However, it was on the ultrasound. He said I should have a needle biopsy performed on both sites. At that point, the technologist would not look at me, and the radiologist had this look on his face. It's a look of worry and knowing and not wanting to say anything until the tests confirm. Previously, when I had had mammograms, I had always received a letter saying your results are normal, however you have dense breasts. I never asked the questions. And that's my takeaway for you. If you have ever been told that you have dense breasts, please ask your provider questions. Perhaps there's additional testing that they would suggest for you. Back in 2015, 3D mammograms were not that common, and in fact, if I had wanted one, I think it might have been something I would have had to pay for out of pocket. Testing is a little bit different now. The bottom line is, ask questions. If you've ever been told that you have dense breasts, ask if there's anything more that you should be doing or additional tests that you have or different tests, etc. Just ask the questions. It was on Wednesday, March 4th, that I was scheduled for the biopsy. So it was a little bit of a difficult wait from Friday to Wednesday, and I wanted to have some sort of control in a situation that felt so completely out of control. What I did is I asked to talk to people that had previously had breast cancer that I knew, got their feedback on doctors and procedures, and I researched doctors within my network, and I looked at their biographies. Again, it just made me feel like I had a little bit of control in a situation that felt so completely out of control. When I went for that biopsy on March 4th, the nurse and the doctor were fantastic, and the doctor answered my tough questions. She said the tissue did not look like normal breast tissue, and she was concerned. She explained that it would take 1 to 3 days for the results and what the next steps would be, whether it was positive or negative. It was actually the very next day, on March 5th, when I received a call from a nurse. It's definitely not like it is in the movies when you get called in asked to come and talk to a doctor in person that you've known for years. This was a stranger, and she called up and she said, "I think you know that you have cancer." It was in my breast and in my lymph nodes. So that began the process of setting up appointments. One of those appointments to set up was the very next day I had an MRI, and that was just part of the information gathering process. It wasn't until the following week, on March 9th and 13th, when I saw my oncologist and my surgeon, and I'll talk about those visits in additional videos. So now you know that often there are many appointments and testing that leads up to the diagnosis. I've shared with you that a plant-based diet can be beneficial for the impact of hormonal changes, and I've encouraged you to ask questions in regards to breast density. If you can relate to my experience, or if you found the information helpful, please subscribe to my channel and be sure to click on the bell to be notified of new videos. For more information about my coaching business, visit inspiredvitality.life. See you in the next video.